Hello, and welcome back to another video. You might be wondering, wait, Yuko, your voice isn't in sync with your model on the bottom corner of the screen. Well, you can't really tell because the model is sometimes funky in that way. But, so I talked about this on stream. I kind of forgot to unmute my mic while recording this video, so this is going to be a voiceover and me explaining what Past Me did, or I guess a bit of a commentary sort of thing. So right now, I think Past Me is just describing what the game is and the history of it. So basically, this is a remake of the original Pocket Mirror Classic 2016, I think. And GoldenerTraum is the remake with new graphics and maybe potentially new endings. I've never played this game before, so it was my first time playing it for this video. So I don't know what to expect. Well, I didn't know what to expect. Man, I keep forgetting that I'm doing a voiceover for this and not like I'm not actually playing this, but yeah. So now I guess we're gonna be starting the game because I didn't know what recollect meant, but gaze is basically starting a new file and recollect is basically loading the new game. So here we go. Interesting, right? So here's the opening sequence thing, where basically here I was basically reading out the dialogue here. Hold your memories close to your heart. And I don't know what's taking me so long to like just move on to the next scene. You shouldn't ever let go. Yes, mother. So that's the opening sequence. And here we have me in this room. Oh yeah, and you may have noticed that this video is about 45 minutes. So I'm going to try to voice over this for the next 45 minutes. And hopefully, I don't know, commentate about what Past Me did here. Oh yeah, and a lot of the pausing here is just basically me just reading the dialogue, but I guess I should just reread it for you guys as well. So here's me just interacting with objects in the room, like in every other JRPG games, because, you know, if you don't interact with stuff, you're not going to get anywhere, right? And also, looting items. We love that. So, our main protagonist here has no name because she kind of forgot. And this pocket mirror seems to be very important to her. So here's me probably spamming the, like, interact key, which is the Z key on the keyboard. I can't reach the window. So yeah, basically the MC girl just woke up in this place and doesn't know why. So I'm just like checking every inch of the room, making sure I'm not missing any details before moving on to the mirror, which is taking past me like a long time, but it's okay. We'll get there. So how was everyone's day? Because mine's been pretty good. I had curry today. Oh, sorry, off topic rambling. So here's the girl looking at the mirror, and as you can see, there's no reflection for our protagonist here. So it raises the question, what is our protagonist? Why doesn't she have a reflection? Is she a vampire? Ho ho, maybe not, I don't know. So we're walking around again, and then I double check the mirror again to see if there's any more extra dialogue, and then I didn't realize it until after the third time, I think, that there was an item behind our character there. So like the marble thing. So we pick it up, red marble. You know, some parts I might skip around because I kind of like spent a bit too much time in some sections because I was just walking around and not knowing what to do. So I might speed up or cut those parts. Just letting you guys know in advance. So we interact with the mirror again. So nothing. So at this point, I'm just like, what do I do? Maybe I'll try the door. Oh yeah, at some point, what was it? I think there was some like knocking on the door. I kind of forgot. And then we can go out, I think. Oh, and here's me exploring the menu and me finding out that recollection meant the loading screen. So not much. We only know the first letter of our protagonist's name here. And we can look at the items in the menu. We can use it or inspect it like any other game. So me reading this, a golden pocket mirror. Its lid is beautifully adorned with a fancy flower pattern. The letter G can be spotted on its back. So that gives us the first clue to what our protagonist's name is. So eventually down the line, we kind of find more items that'll unlock more letters, I think. Or like during the story, we find out more. And now, here we go. We are out. And there's no one here. And at this point, I'm like looking around the room, and then I spot something on the other side of the room, which is it looks a bit out of place, but it's definitely the save point. So I go interact with it. And I'm like, yes. Saving. You know, like in every single JRPG game, or I guess in any game that lets you save, it's always good to like save every time you finish an action. In case you kind of like goof up, right? And then you lose all your progress and you have to redo everything all over again, which is kind of a pain, but like, yeah, it is what it is if you forget to save. Well, if it's something easy, then it's not too bad, but if it's something annoying, like a hard puzzle, then yeah, it sucks. Now, at this point, I'm like, where do I go? And me exploring the room, and then something popped up. I don't know. I think it was like an unknown room or something like that. This room isn't named. The marble is glowing. So at this point, I'm like, oh wait, maybe I should put the marble in one of these like holes here. So I'm just like interacting with every one of these holes here. Or at least attempting to. Or I'm just seeing how the item interaction is, because in some RPG games, it'll depend, like, if you interact with it and then it'll give you a pop-up to use it, or you have to manually use it from within the item menu itself, which I'm kind of more used to with the ladder sort of system. But in this case, it's not like that. You can just interact with the item and then it'll give you the pop-up sort of thing. And here's me trying it out from the item menu itself. Well, I could use like the buttons on the keyboard too, which lets me do that. So here's me attempting it with each and every one of these now. And of course, it takes me to the last one to figure things out. And there we go. We inserted the first marble. And then the door to the bottom room opens. And more spooky stuff happens later. Well, so far the puzzles in the game hasn't been like too difficult per se. Like, they're pretty easy enough to do, which I'm pretty comfortable with. And here's me just double checking, or I don't know what I'm even saying in this area here. Just go in past me. Okay, here we go. So in this scene, I remember being locked in this room, this creepy room with like random drawings on the floor and whatnot. So here's me just interacting with the environment to see if there's anything interesting. Egliot? At this point, I'm like, I don't know who Egliot is, but they're a reoccurring name and character in the series, which you'll see later. Oh yeah, and the doll moved. Like, every time I looked away from like the general area and looked at the hints in the room. Okay, so I was looking at the west thing, and I was like, okay, there probably is something to the west of the room, but I'm like failing to interact properly with the environment. So it'll take me a while to find the marble in this room, but like, I swear I clicked the button to interact with that exact same spot I'll speed things up in a bit later. So here's me just interacting with the doll here. And then at this point, past me is basically kind of confused and like, what am I supposed to interact with? And it takes me quite a while, I think, maybe like 5 minutes, maybe, to just get the marble. So I'm constantly looking at all the hints again to see if I've missed anything or if it'll trigger another reaction thing in the room. And now I'm like checking my menu, and now I'm spamming the pocket mirror just to see if it'll trigger anything. And then finally, I interact with the top left corner of that room and I get the marble at last. That took me so long. And I'm out. And we are locked out again. So I do the same thing and put the marble in the hole. Well, after I save, I guess. But yeah. So I had to repeat the same action for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in the ground. So I'm like recording this video while watching the gameplay footage and I'm just like, wow, my slime model is pretty jiggly. But that's a good idea. Okay, so the right side of the room is now open. And here's past me just trying to go to the left for some reason. I guess I'm just checking like if there's any other potential doorways that I can go into, but no. There isn't. And here's the next puzzle. Well, not really puzzle, but here it gets a teeny bit more spooky, which I'll let you guys see here. So what's this? Please forgive me, please forgive me. It's not my fault. Don't leave me here. Don't leave me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So we don't know who wrote this letter here, and the quill is magically moving by itself, as you can see on the desk. The quill floats eerily, scribbling down on the old scraps of paper. And then I'm looking at the window here. And then I'm wondering, what do I do? And then by chance, I pushed the table, which I did not know I could do. And I managed to find the thing that we were looking for. But then after getting these two options, I was like, wait, this kind of scares me. Reaching like your character's hand into a hole seems like a bad idea in general. Oh yeah, and then our character can't step on puddles of blood for some reason, but okay, fair enough. Your shoe's gonna get dirty. And then exploring the rest of the room before I risk my player's life here and getting the marble in this room. And then here's me attempting a few more times to step on the blood, but it won't. And then here's an interesting thing. There's like a mini game with this. My hand is stuck. So I had to continuously press Z to like get out. You know, I kind of wondered like what would happen if I didn't struggle there and just let whatever was in the wall take my character. But maybe in my next run. And yeah, the thing is gone now and I could leave the room. And that room is complete and I save. And then in the marble goes in its designated spot. And then the next room opens. And then I'm walking around, just a bit hesitant to go up. But here's the next room. You know, I was a bit kind of scared in this room because I can't really see what's up ahead, but Eventually that opens up and it's bright again. And I'm checking the items in the room as usual. It looks like it's been painted over. It's so pretty, it's a shame it's so dusty. The chair. I thought I could move the chair, but no. And then, oh, surprise, there's something in the wall. Miss? Yes, who's there? Tell me, miss, how does the sky look today? So here, at this point, I'm like, sky? But the window is painted over. So I'm like, oh no. Do I lie to them? Or do I just be like, it's blue? So I don't know what would have happened if I answered wrong, but luckily, I answered right the first time, I think. So it's blue. So they're pretty happy about that. So they gave me the marble. And I was like, oh, that was easy. Because, like, the theme of this room is blue, so that was what my thought process was. Yeah, it's gone now. And then double checking the room one last time before leaving. And then the second last marble we got, and there's still one more, which I think... Yeah, we have to... Yeah, I went to the first room that we went into. Because that's the only other room. So we're basically back to the beginning. But at this point, I didn't know what awaited me in the room. Oh yeah, force it open. Oh wait, why didn't I force it open? Oh, I think... Yeah, I guess past me was just double checking the doors before going in. Sometimes I've wondered why the game has these sort of mechanics, because it's like, either way, you're gonna go into the room. Eventually. And then the room is a bit dark, so we don't know what we're expecting here. And then it brightens up again, and oh look, it's bloody. Something happened in here while we were gone. And here we have a severed finger from something, but we don't know what. And then I'm just like, okay, what do I do? Might as well start interacting with everything in the map. At this point, I didn't really understand what to do, but now looking at the game footage, I can immediately tell that the bloodstain is basically painted towards the walls, so I should have looked at the wall immediately there. And I'll eventually get there in the footage here, as you'll see. So how nice of the finger to point us in the right direction. But yeah, this is one of the spots where I was kind of like walking around aimlessly, not wondering what to do. Footprints. And here I discovered the puzzle itself. So at this point, I was kind of like doubting myself here because I was like, hold up. Are you sure I don't find the marble in this room? And it's maybe not outside? So I'm back out here again. I'm then looking again. But it doesn't really quite register with me that I had to look for the last marble in this room. So I go back again to just double check. But man, I should have went with my gut instinct. Like, that puzzle was kind of obvious, actually. So here's me just randomly walking around for the next couple of minutes before getting the last marble, as you'll see. Okay, at this point I might have realized what the puzzle meant here. So I'm getting closer. Yes, here it is. There we go. Got the golden marble. And then past me is probably talking about how I should have known. And there we go. All 5 marbles have been placed in their respective holes. And at this point, I'm just like, am I supposed to find one last thing for the middle? But after interacting with it, well, you'll see. Our character will say what we need. Oh yeah, and me checking the door again to see if we can access the room. Yep, so we put the pocket mirror in the middle here. And then it triggers some stairs to appear out of nowhere. And of course, we don't leave the pocket mirror behind because we need it for, I guess, a lot of puzzles in later parts of the video and other puzzles in the future. So I'm basically done the first puzzle of the game here. This locked room with puzzles. And now I'm going to, I guess, the second half, basically, of this video. So as usual, exploring a new environment to see if there's anything interesting here. Because you know, like, endings in games like this will depend on your actions and specific actions you take. Oh yeah, and this doll. This doll was pretty cute, not gonna lie. And in the mirror, you still don't see your reflection. And then at this point, I'm done and I'm like going up the stairs and going to the far corner, which had a book there of some sorts. And a diary. Funny thing is, the diary is basically a promo for the latest game, Little Goody Two Shoes, which I also bought on Steam, which I do plan on playing. So I'll read it out along with past me here. I once lived in a small village when I was young. My youth was spent in hard labor and cold, sleepless nights. I often dreamt about a better future, one that could fill my stomach with luxurious sweets and thick, expensive steaks. One day I heard an old woman talking about a strange rumor. She said that a certain someone had been granting wishes in the woods to anyone who dared summon a certain name. Someone who wasn't quite human. And then there's some sort of special effect there, and the doll starts moving and goes into the mirror. And I'm just like, whoa, wait, where are you going? And then our protagonist here is kind of like freaked out about it, but it's okay. She's fine. It's funny how, like, these characters in JRPG games, like, freaky stuff is happening around them, but they're just, like, so mentally strong and not stressed about things. I'm just like, man. I didn't really want to interact with the mirror, but at this point, we have to. It's moving like water. And then it dragged her. And at this point, I thought we died. So I thought we had to like restart the game, but I guess not. We're like in another part of the room now, or a different room. So we're in an area called Red Carpet, I think. And as usual, I get started with interacting with the map environment. I can't access this door that's closest to me. And then there, as you can see to the left of my character, there's like something that resembles a pumpkin. But it is a pumpkin. It's a talking pumpkin. the pumpkin is snoring. You know, these pumpkins reminds me of like the black cat from Witch's House, because as you'll see in the video and upcoming videos, these pumpkins make pretty funny comments. Like, I love reading the dialogue of these pumpkins. Looking for something? And I think the black cat in like Witch's House says a similar line, so I feel like it's like a homage to the Witch's House game. I think I saw somewhere on like the site or something saying that this game was like heavily inspired by like a lot of the old classic like JRPG games like Ib, Witch's House and all that. Here's my character getting hurt because we weren't supposed to go through that ribbon. And then I was checking to see if like we had an HP bar, but I don't think we have one. So here's the puzzle. Blinded as sacrifice and thus this may something something something. I couldn't read that. So basically I had to give something to these statues, but at this point I didn't know what to do. Oh look, I could sprint. So sprinting is very useful for chase scenes if that ever happens. So here we have an art gallery of the sorts, and me interacting with pumpkins. You know, it's a bit odd, like, seeing talking pumpkins, but I guess in this situation, not surprised by all the magical things happening around. Oh yeah, a lot of these art pieces have, like, very, some morbid descriptions, I'll say that. This pumpkin would like to be baked into a pie. Oh, so sometimes interacting with specific items and all that will give you pumpkin charms. I'm not too sure what pumpkin charms do, but if they're collectibles, then I collect them. Because, you know, who knows if they'll give, like, another ending of the sorts, right? But yeah, some of these descriptions are a bit, ooh, yikes. So one by one, I'm slowly reading all these descriptions, or past me is reading all the descriptions under the paintings. Ah, and this one, I noticed that it's a repeat of like the first painting. And then it starts dripping blue stuff. And I'm just like, ooh, yucky. So at this point, I'm at the very end of the last two paintings, which are basically, it looked like twins. So I'm like, oh, neat, twins. But also, I didn't really know what I needed to do here because there's no like prompts or whatever happening. And then at this point, one of the paintings called to me. But it wasn't this one. I thought it was the bottom painting that was like calling out. So I'm just like, huh? Is it not? So I'm just interacting with everything until I talk with the first painting. And at this point, I'm just like, wait, you want my pocket mirror? No way. I'm not giving it back. Because we can't trust a suspicious painting that we don't know with our precious pocket mirror. But of course, you'll have to give it eventually. Or I had to progress the story. I wanted to leave to save, but the door was locked. So I go back to the painting and I was like, okay, fine, I'll give you my pocket mirror, but just let me out. And at this point, I'm like, why is our protagonist so nice and smiley about everything? Like, excuse me? And see, the painting even laughed at us. Like, I knew it. That painting was gonna take our pocket mirror. Yeah, so the painting in front of us makes like a demand. So basically telling us to take the woman's left eye from her. Like the one across. So we're just like, oh no. Do we have to? Feel bad. Like the lady wearing the eye patch did nothing. And I'm surprised our protagonist managed to pluck out the painting's eye. And here I'm just like hesitating, wondering if there's any other alternative options, but there isn't. I can't leave the room. And then I brace myself here and decide to just go for it. And pluck out her eye. And we apologize. And the painting just curses the other painting. And then it's a chase scene. But it's okay. We managed to escape. Yeah. It's not that difficult of a chase scene though. And we got a blue eyeball. And of course I head to the save file. And then after that, I'm like, don't we need to get back our pocket mirror? So I'm just like, okay, let's go back into the room because usually the room goes back to normal. And in this case, well, it kind of went back to normal without the whole chase thing. But like the gallery kind of became a whole mess. Like you can see the eyes and whatnot scribbled on the walls and floors. And I'm interacting with the pumpkins again, and they give different dialogue options. Yeah, rip painting, so... I don't know what our protagonist did, but we just plucked the eyeball out, but I don't know if it was to the point where we ripped the painting. And we get our pocket mirror back from the mean painting. Yeah, lady laughs at the top of her lungs, holding a blood-stained eye patch in her left hand. Like, dang. Scary. And that's it for this room. We got one eyeball. And now I can go to the other room. Now for this one, The intro story is a bit long. I didn't realize it, but I spent quite a bit of time reading the story with you guys here. But the illustrations were really cute though, in the background. There was once a certain illusion I saw in a mirror and once knew— oh, oops. Okay, well, I'll try to read along with you guys, but also I'll keep on rambling. So all I can remember from the day I was born are a few memories, forged encounters, which I have never experienced in my forgotten existence, recollections which didn't belong to me. In all honesty, who am I? To whom do these memories belong? I wonder. They are certainly not mine, and yet here they dwell inside the small room where I sit. Ever reminded of those fabricated crimson irises which were played once again 1,000 times as such a memory had been showcased in my small mind. And yet I still can't reach any conclusion other than my complete existence has always been and always will remain controlled by those same eyes. At this point, me reading the story, I'm just kind of like confused about what's going on. Living in this small room, I remember a dream I once had, a tremendously vivid one, a red carpet that had been laid before my feet, which guided me towards a single opening on the darkened wall, one that seemed to advance further and further with every step I took. In an instant, I was thrown into a world I did not know existed. On the other side of the gap, I found a reflection, my reflection. Silky brown hair covered my back, braided into thick braids on each side of my head, which beautifully framed my cherry red eyes. Standing before me was a little girl dressed in fancy, frilly clothing. Who was this person I had never seen? Could it be me? I recall lifting my small hand and touching my own cheek with such a gesture engraved itself onto my memory. The soft texture of my skin and free, effortless movement I had made to raise my hand made me realize I could move. Such a strange sensation of empowerment filled my soul and body, leading me to a feeling of excitement which led my imagination astray. I was real, I was alive. The little girl reflected in the mirror was me, and I could breathe and live. Life dwelled inside my body, and yet, as I turned my head to look outside, the same light which had crept into my small room had blinded me once again, leaving me inside my old room where I stayed. I kind of wish I could see these illustrations like by itself, but the text is in the way. Deprived of senses, deprived of sensation I once knew as life, I stayed. Please show me the light. I want to see it once more. I want to live. So basically that's the puzzle of this room here. So at this point I'm just trying to like figure where this person is in this room. And I'm like, oh, am I supposed to do something with the eyeballs? No, I'm not. And here's another pumpkin. I thought the pumpkin was like giving out hints, but they're not. And here's something in the room that looks out of place, but I couldn't really interact with it all that much. So I'm just like, huh, okay, maybe it's just some random decoration. Yeah, so here's the girl from the story, I think, but she's named Creature. So I'm like, do you want this eyeball? I can give it to you, but she does not want this eyeball. And at this point, I'm like, hold up. Maybe there's something else in this room that I don't have. Maybe the candle? I didn't want to read the story again. And then eventually I realized that there's a light coming from the right side of the room here. And then I realized I could move this thing, which is a glass shard. And I'm like, hold up. Maybe I can do that. But then I goofed up. I pushed it in an area where I couldn't get it back out. So I'm like, oh shoot, wait. Let me just leave the room and reset the position eventually. So I leave the room, go back in, and the glass shard is back in place. Because I had to like directly have it in the sunlight. So I see the light there, and then I'm just like moving it around. Like that. And then one more. There we go. And then at this point, it's not fully, you know, aimed at the creature in the corner there. So I'm like, hold up, maybe I should use my pocket mirror. And so I do. Okay, wait. Or so I don't. I thought the eyeball was the key, but no, it's our pocket mirror. There we go. And now the creature gives us an eyeball. A red eyeball, to be exact. And our protagonist here is just like grossed out, but okay, thanks for the eyeball. We take back our pocket mirror because it's not needed anymore. And the creature is gone. So at this point I'm like, oh, okay, we got both eyeballs. So we can give it to the statues. But of course, I save first. And here's where I goof up. So I accidentally put the eyeballs in the incorrect statues. I was supposed to put it on the statue on each corresponding side. So like the blue one where I originally got it on the left side, and then the red one for the right side. So I had to take the eyeballs back out and then put them back in. And then one, and then two. There we go, the statues are grateful. Now we can go in to the next area. And here's a long spooky hallway where I'm like, what the heck? Okay, sure. So I assumed that there was gonna be some like weird chase scenes going on here, but there wasn't. And then there's a pumpkin here which I interacted with. And then I'm like, oh, thanks for the fun fact, pumpkin. And kind of hope that we wouldn't get, like, you know, beheaded in some way in the game during this hallway sequence, but I guess not. And there were footprints, so I was like, okay, we're going the right way. And then more items drop. And this key item, I'm like, maybe I need this later in the next area? I don't know what this is for. And then I go in. And then I'm like, oh, it's a tea party of some sorts. Sugary supper. So I'm like, oh, all this looks tasty. Oh. Something happened. And then I'm talking to the pumpkins here. I'm like, am I supposed to do something? And I'm just trying to, like, maybe interact with food. Maybe I can get it. But at this point, I considered calling it a day for the first episode because we got pretty far. So this is the end of the video. So that's the end of my commentary here, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Hopefully I managed to not mute myself while recording the game. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode of Pocket Mirror GoldenerTraum. I think that's how you say it. But yeah. Okay. Bye. See you next time.